time has expired. Senator McGrath.
Thank you, Mr President. Queensland is actually still a frontier state. We have so much growth in front of us as we look to the future, unlike some other states who I fear their best days are behind them. And this was really pushed home to me when I spent a week up in the Gulf country with Nolene Icahn, who was our candidate for the 2013 federal election for the seat of Kennedy. So Nolene and I joined Senator Matt Canavan and Minister Barnaby Joyce in Normanton, where we officiated at the opening of new offices for the Gulf Savannah Development Inc., or GSD as everyone up in Normanton seems to call it, with local mayors Fred Pascoe and Ernie Camp. And after we safely packed off Barnaby to his next destination, which I understand was Darwin, we started on a journey across the Cape, from Normanton and Corumba on one side, and we ended up in Bellenden Kerr with Robin Quick, who is our Liberal National Party candidate for the state seat of Mulgrave at the coming state election. Now, for me as a new senator and someone who chiefly admits that he's much to learn, this is my first trip as a Queenslander to the Gulf country, and it won't be my last, as I'll be returning in the near future, being April, as an unnamed mayor, first name Fred, last name Pascoe, has promised to take me barra fishing, which helps sweeten my commitment to return. And Senator Ronaldson has offered to come also, so I think that would be good for you, Senator Ronaldson. It would be good. Yes, I think you'd enjoy it a lot. You'd learn a lot, and so are the locals, I think, hopefully. So it's important that as senators we visit all parts of our state and understand the issues so we can act as a megaphone for those who cannot be heard down here in Canberra. Now, undertaking field visits to the Harris family operations and the Stanbroke operations, I was overwhelmed by their vision to drought-proof their properties. By catching the wet and growing grain, there is hope that drought-ridden cattle will be a memory rather than a threat. And their hope is to protect animal welfare, to grow jobs and to build the north. And at Delta Downs, with Fred Pascoe and Alfred Pascoe and Paul Edwards, this is the most successful Indigenous-run cattle station in the country. It's owned by the Kutcha people and run by the Mormor Pastoral Board. Now, we only travelled over a small part of their property. When I say small, we actually travelled over quite a large amount of their property. It's 1 million acres. Now, I come from a cane farming family on the Sunshine Coast, and I thought we had a big farm and we had 250 acres. So it's not even the size of one of their paddocks. And seeing what Alfred and Paul are doing to their property in terms of improving the cattle and improving the pasture, but also rehabilitating some of the wetlands, was really something that I'll take away, and I look back to seeing how the property develops over the coming years. Now, their property was particularly hard. It was particularly hit hard by not just the drought, which is ongoing in Queensland, but by Labor's ban on live cattle exports, and a ban that devastated the north, and a lot of families up in the north are still doing it tough because of the drought, because of the ban, and the impact upon their lack of income. Now, I'll talk about live cattle exports some other time. Now, at Corumba, we're fortunate to stay at Ashes, which is owned by Yvonne Tunney, who has the best chips in the world. And I'm very happy to mention that because I just didn't have seconds. I had thirds while I was there. And we also met Justin and Wombat from the Raptors fishing operations, and went to the Barra Farm. So if you're ever going to Corumba, I recommend go to the Barra Farm and try and feed the fish. And if you do, don't scream like a 6-year-old girl like Senator McGrath did. Senator Canavan certainly didn't scream like a 6-year-old girl with these giant fish trying to bite your fingers off. But it was really good to meet with Deputy Mayor Awesome, and that's what he's known as, but he's otherwise known as Alan Gurney, and also with Greg Ward and Robert Pender, where the coalition views on carbon tax were just reaffirmed, because these people are telling us that the impact upon the carbon tax on refrigerant costs had been cut dramatically, and that was just a really, really good thing to hear. Now, in Normanton, looking around the Bino service with Senator Canavan and with Nolene Icahn, with Fred and Sharon Robinson, we were blown away by their commitment to Indigenous employment and training, town development and housing. And we'd like to say we totally support their vision for the Carpentaria Academy. Now, everything they do is about real jobs and sort of providing local people with the means to get off welfare. And I probably have to declare a conflict of interest here that I've arranged to buy one of their paintings, and I'm arranging, sorry, to buy one of the paintings to hang up in my Canberra office here. Now, leaving Normanton after meeting with Mayor Capasco and local councillors and his senior executives, we met with the Croydon Mayor, Trevor Pickering, and councillors and senior executives, where telecommunications, or lack thereof, was on the agenda. And that night in Georgetown, with the Etheridge Council, with Mayor Will Atwood and the council, and my old friend Michael Kitzelman, our former candidate for Bundamba, hosted us to a barbecue in the park, where there's a theme here, because there was a good discussion on drought-proofing, not just on grazing properties in terms of drought-proofing them, but in terms of the towns that are in this part of Australia, in terms of ensuring that the towns have a regular supply of water. And what Southerners fail to realise sometimes is that 75% of Queensland is still drought-declared. And it's something that, when you look at the map, is actually a very, very, very scary thing to see. Now, in Mareeba, we were fortunate to catch up with Liz Schmidt, who was our candidate for Dalrymple, and David Kempton, who was our fantastic LNP member for Cook, where there was a freight forum. And it was a very interesting exercise undertook by David and Liz in terms of what local roads needed to be improved. And everyone had to go and put a star on which roads they thought needed improvement. And both David and Liz will be coming to the state LNP and also to the federal government in terms of what we can do to improve roads in far north Queensland. I should mention we caught up with Mayor Tom Gilmore, who is the uncrowned king of Mareeba, and we're very fortunate that night to attend, thanks to Steve Shoy and Lindsay Rural, a fruit and veggie dinner at the local soccer club. But the next morning, and this is what it comes down to, it is about dams. The next morning, with Trent Toomey and Mark Matthews from Advanced Cairns, were taken to the proposed site for the Nilinga Dam. Now, there is a possibility that Cairns could run out of water in decades to come unless a dam is built in far north Queensland. And I'm happy to say that I'm very supportive and go on the record to support the Nilinga Dam. Another project that I'm very happy to support is the igloo. So for those people listening in their offices or at home, I would encourage you to Google the Rocky Creek Igloo. It is the only surviving, one of the two surviving igloos from the massive hospital that was on the Atherton Tablelands near Atherton. And at this hospital during the Second World War, over 60,000 Australian soldiers were treated. And this building, which has been battered by a few cyclones, was the entertainment theatre. Now, the local Rotary and some local volunteers like Joe Barnes and Trevor Sorensen and John Montgomery are planning on restoring this building. And Senator Ronaldson has been there already, and I spoke to him earlier tonight about it. The locals have a plan. It's only going to cost $1.5 million, Minister. We don't want it all right away, but we will be coming to you with a proposal in terms of what we can do to raise money in the community and how we can work with the government to see if there's any money in this very tight period of financial discipline to say we can restore this amazing part of World War II history. And look, I would encourage people to go there, especially those people who had male relatives or who had relatives who fought in the Second World War or who were served up in the Atherton Tablelands as part of the medical staff. Now, we finished up in Bellenden Kerr, and Bellenden Kerr, for those people who don't know, is a beautiful part of far north Queensland, just near Babinda. And we had a meeting in a hall with local cane farmers organised by Robin Quick, who was our candidate for Mulgrave. And we talked about the issues to do with sugar marketing, and I won't talk about sugar marketing tonight because that is a topic that can go for hours and hours and hours. But I am concerned about sugar marketing. Some other night will have the benefit of my dulcet tones. But what I am concerned is about the impact a proposed conservation order will have on the Chillagoe limestone and marble quarries. This proposal is as potty as it is stupid and must be opposed because it will stop all lime production effectively for the sugar industry in Queensland and will impact upon local cane farmers. So I call upon the federal government and Minister Greg Hunt to reject this urgently. When thinking and talking about water, it's important that we achieve the right balance between the fishing industry and agriculture, not to mention ensuring the viability of local towns. It's important that farming operations and councils have the ability to be drought-proof.
Thank
and
you,
the real
Senator
was
McGrath.
water,
The
water,
time for
water.
your contribution has expired.